clap. Hi, welcome to Cal's Corner Ministry. Looks a little different, doesn't it? Why is Cal over here?
Yeah.
And I'm here. Well, hello, I'm Phil Quinlan from Sherpa Leadership Group. Along with Cal VanSingel, we produce the Cal's Corner Ministry. Today is a special feature. We have the pleasure of getting to know our brother, Cal VanSingel. You are in the hot seat, brother. How are you feeling about that today before we begin the show?
I think this is a heated seat. That's what I was thinking on the way up. Definitely the hot seat. Definitely on the other side of this for some 20-some episodes now. I've been where you're at, or different locations, but been the guy doing the interviewing versus being the interviewer.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I don't know.
I'm used to behind the camera.
Yeah,
so this is new to me too as well. But brother, we're going to peel you back today.
Okay.
We're
lot there.
Right now, there's a lot of layers there, right?
Yeah.
We're going to peel back the layers of Cal VanSingel, Cal's Corner Ministry, and really go down for our followers here, the man behind the mission.
Okay.
And you're a humble soul. I have witnessed you for over 22 decades plus doing the work you're doing. And today's episode is special, unique, because it's putting you, I want you to share a little bit more of your heart today.
Okay.
And men, we need to be more vulnerable and honest with each other in our faith, our journey. And today it's an honor, and I'm also going to use the word, it's a duty. It's a duty to kind of share with our followers more about the man behind the mission. Yeah. And you're going to give all glory to him. I know that. But this is an authentic, real, challenging setup for our friend Cal. So before we get into the questions, how are you're okay with this? And I want to say thank you for doing this, but how are you feeling about kind of on the other side? Are you feeling
It feels different, but you know what? Over your left shoulder, there's a sign that says Carpe Diem that I learned from you 20-some years ago. Carpe Diem, seize the day. So when we talked about doing this, I was heck no. But then you made a lot of sense because, a lot of people in West Michigan know who I am through farming, broadcasting, whatever. But there's a lot of people now who are joining Cal's Corner Ministries who don't know who I am. And they say, who is that guy? And what, it took a little twisting on your part and my daughter's part to get me to do this. But you both made a lot of sense in it that, people should maybe see who's the big galoot that, who is Cal and who's Cal's Corner. So this makes sense. So, and once again, Carpe Diem, seize the day.
Let's seize the day and take advantage of this intentional moment here today. And speaking of intentional moment, I'd like to open up our conversation here today about intentionality is a big part. Just the other day, I recall you pushed out some content about the intentional aspect of your day and your daily life. So I am going to look at my notes because you and I want to be very intentional with our messaging here today. But you lived a very remarkable, purpose-driven kind of life, Cal. You're very intentional, not only with your ministry, within your work, and as a father, as a community servant. Walk us through what makes you so intentional in everything you do, and maybe even a scenario, what it looks like in a given day for that we call that daily rhythm, right? Of like, how do you go about your day? Not only for our men who follow us, but for our families and those who may not know who you are.
It's two parts of me now, because when we were farming, two of my brothers and I owned a larger scale vegetable farm in West Michigan. So when we're farming every day, depending on the time of the year, like summer times, I'd be up like at 5:15, 5 or 5:15. Right. And if we were irrigating, I'd work until midnight and then start that cycle the next day for 6 days in a row. We never worked on Sunday. So summers were crazy, but in the spring, you get up, maybe if the local coffee shop's open at 6, you go grab a cup of coffee, maybe a slice of toast, come back to the farm, try to be there about before everybody else is, because that's, if you don't want to be late, because then your employees start thinking they can be late, and that just leads to another mess. But and then you just get on through the workday. But now, after my brothers and I sold our farm a few years ago, mine's completely different now. So, my day now is relatively different. A lot of times I'm up by 7:30. I mostly go to the Depot Coffee Shop in Grant. And there's the, got to stop by there. And Joni she's in there in the morning. She takes great care of me. Gives me a hard time, which I always have coming, more it seems like. But I go in, I have a cup of coffee. I have a buddy, Larry, who will send me a verse about 5:30 every morning. And so I will take that verse and I forward that on to 6 different guys. Or other times I'll find my own verse. And it's a combination of that. So I have 6 guys. So I'll get my coffee, I'll get a slice of toast. I send a verse out to 6 different guys. And then I'll hang out a little bit. I'll have my laptop there. I'll work on men's ministry stuff for Grant or White Lake that I do with Pastor Craig Smith in Whitehall.
Beautiful. We'll talk about that later.
Yep, and yeah, so I'll do that. And then I just look to be intentional wherever he sends me. So I have a pocket calendar. I'm not.
Love it.
I love it. You know, my youngest daughter over here, they do everything on their phone. I can't do that because I'm so used to writing everything down. So I have a pocket calendar, and I'll look and see what do I have going on that day. Who can I text for lunch or dinner or something like that. So, and I try to be available.
You know, it's interesting that you made a phrase about today's technology. You talk about the pocket calendar, and I wonder if he has the pocket, protector with it. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
yeah, I got you.
There's some intentionality. You used the phrase when you pull out your cell phone, the power of mass. Remember you had can you tell us about it? Because you're very intentional with the use of your phone and your time with that. Go ahead. How do you refer to that, and talk more about sending out messages to others?
Well, one thing I love to do is I love to be an encourager. Because this world is full of discouragement.
Yeah.
I've lost some buddies too, that have taken their own life. One of them was a good friend of mine, and I had just sent him a card like 6 weeks earlier and said, hey, I knew he had some health struggles, but I said, hey, get a hold of me 24/7, 365. And then boom, he, 6 weeks later, he's gone. And it's like, why did you not, that's that frustrating part. Why did you not reach out? Why didn't you say something? So I've become even more intentional after that as far as just reaching out to guys. And so I have a friend of mine who called my cell phone a weapon of mass encouragement. And I think maybe that's one of the greatest things I've ever, one of the greatest compliments I've ever had. Because, and I don't have any in this shirt. I had them in my other shirt. I switched shirts to come here. But I have little business cards that says you're awesome and amazing and incredible. And I will hand those out. I handed 2 of them out this morning, got rehab for my hips. And, they're both just like, thank you. Yeah. So that's just live intentionally every day, no matter what you're doing, where you're at, but just try to be present and sometimes listen to him or listen to a conversation you're having with somebody, seeing if they're dropping hints that, you don't want to miss.
So talk about that. Do you talk about what I think sometimes as men we go through our lives and we were not still enough to hear that whisper, as you and I talk about, right? Or we feel like we're missing out, or we have to keep the day's chaos. The day can just add up, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the day, I always like to say, the day will control us if we don't control it. So win the hour, win the day. And you're talking about intentionality, but I want to peel back a few more layers than that. There was something you just said earlier when we went on the show today, talk about carpe diem over my shoulder too, but that you seem to be more intentional because of moments of what you consider failure, or why didn't I? Talk about that. We're men sometimes we feel like, oh, I woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? Can we speak to that about, well, you have now leveled up your game and you're very humble about it, but when I listen to you, I hear you're even 10x since I first met you. About intentional of encouragement. Can you talk about a challenging men here today, how we can do a better job of that?
You got to show up. That's the first thing. That. Well, when I was farming, it wasn't as easy when I was farming. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have the time.
Because your mind was full of what?
Well, yeah, you had things to do. And we were fortunate, when you're a larger scale vegetable farm like we were, you just have a lot going on. We had 4 or 5 different crops we were raising. You have your first, there's so many different aspects throughout the growing season that you have to do, especially in irrigation. It's like 18, 19 hours a day, every day, other than Sunday. So you get locked in, you get focused on that. And my youngest daughter, both my daughters work for me. They've seen it. They've been in the truck with me. So they know what it's like. So, but now I have time. We're not, we sold, sale was, God bless the sale. So I'm in a position now where I can do stuff. I can retire fully, and I can go out and I can do God's work and just be intentional about that, trying to do that every single day. And some days He will put things in front of you. Yeah. So then it's like, goes back to say yes, even when you don't want to, but say yes. And other days, he'll just give you kind of an easy, he'll give you an easy day. He knows where your mental framework is. Well, what can you handle today and when do you need a break?
That's so powerful what you said. And you said something also, I'm going to frame the question around, like, when you listen to him, you hear that. And you said something earlier, too, in our conversation off camera here about, I don't have to, I what?
I get to.
Explain that. What do you...
I have a good friend of mine, Darren, who lost his wife to cancer a little over 4 years ago. Yeah. He came up with that saying, so I got to give Darren the credit to that. And then I've taken it and ran with it. So, excuse me, there's been so many times in life that it says it for itself. You don't have to do things, you get to do things.
I love that.
And God does that. He'll, I don't have to take my pastor to lunch every Monday. I get to take Pastor Mike to lunch every Monday.
Wow.
So I don't have to drive an hour and 20 minutes to come up here, into the den, the Scottville den here. I don't have to do it. I get to do that. I get to spend time with you. I get to spend time with my daughter.
Yeah.
So it's just take advantage of that. So I think God moved our sale and blessed that sale because he had other plans for me. And, I'm that just say yes guy. If he's moving you to do something and you don't say yes, you're going to miss out on the blessings that he had for you.
You blessed me.
Ditto.
And we're going to talk about that too. You bless so many men, so many women, so many family members too. And I hate to wrap up this intentionality, but I want to move into the farming aspect because when you're selling to the farm, it's allowed you to be more intentional, is what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really would like to talk to you, have our listeners and followers, the work of a farmer and the lessons you learn on farming and the impact of like your daughters and the family. What lessons are you bringing? So my question is now, it's like, as you are intentional, because now farming has allowed you to go into get busy living, as we call it. You're not really retired, my friend. All right.
Right. Yeah.
You're transitioning into now full-blown ministry, which you always were as a farmer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, you still always do it, but it's kind of like it's a two-way street, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
One minute you're going this way and then farming, then the next minute you get a text or a phone call, and now you're coming this way because you switched from farming to, chatting with a buddy or somebody, or, you're waiting for like a dump wagon to get to you, so you quick send out a text. So you're jumping back and forth so quickly from different times.
And so your ministry, you're doing the same skill sets that you gathered from that, right?
Yeah.
What do we need to know as far as Cal VanSingel, the farmer, that lessons that you have taken to be so intentional? I know we opened up our interview today about intentionality, but what is it about the farming industry that has taught you, and even through the changes of technology in farming, you've adapted so well. You've adapted in your ministry. You've adapted as a father, as a friend.
Yeah.
But there's something about the farm, and maybe speak to, I know this is a multi-layered question, but what lessons of that farm that really have taken are the essence of your raison d'etre, your purpose for existing?
Trust God. I mean, it's simple.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because he's going to get you through it. He's going to get you through the good times. He's going to get you through the bad times. And what I mean by that, he's going to get you through the floods. He's going to get you through the natural disasters that you can't control. I mean, I could tell you how much money I've lost within in a 10 or 15 minute period because of a hailstorm, and we had that years ago, probably 10 or 15 years ago. We had a massive hailstorm came through, wiped out 210 acres of onions.
Significant loss.
A lot of money. And in 10 minutes, they were gone. They were just shredded. And then they get full of disease, and they don't end up maturing. So, that's one of those when you just look up and you go, literally, what are you thinking? I know you have a plan, you have a purpose. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why did you send this, in end of July, and when a month I'm harvesting those? In 2019, I have a video of me. I was harvesting onions. I'd harvested carrots in the morning. Jumped on our onion crew to help them out. I'm harvesting onions in the afternoon. It's so dusty, so dirty, that we could only harvest one way, that we couldn't, because I couldn't see to look back. The wind's out of the south.
Wow.
So I could harvest north, but not south, okay? So the wind was so bad, I mean, I was on an open air tractor pulling a 2-row onion harvester. I was running one way just so I would be able to see. October 1, we were flooded. Massive flood. Wow. And I have video of it on my farm. So when people say you miss it, and I went, no, I'll show you why I don't miss it. You know, here's why.
And there's so many lessons, and I'm sure Ariel would love to get her in here and talk a little biblical Old Testament here to me, because I love listening to people who have great knowledge of that.
And that's her. She's a walking Bible, that one.
She is, and she's inspiring in that sense. So it's a culture that she was raised in as well, too, and she'd be the first to admit that. But there's so much parallels to not only Old Testament stories, right? Yeah. But more importantly, even to men today, when you talk about disaster and the guy who's just been told his wife has devastating stage 4 cancer, or the person has been, we're all farmers, right? Mm-hmm. Those stories you just told us had a great parallel to how we all can connect and relate to that.
Yeah.
And you continue to press on regardless, correct?
Well, my time is short. You know, I'm in the 4th quarter of my life. I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. I'm not guaranteed I'm going to get home today. So, you know, my time is short. You don't know how much time you have. You know, I think it was, I think it was 5 years yesterday.
Tell me.
I found out I had cancer. You know, 5 years later, here I am.
Talk about that moment.
You know, it was odd because we were at a funeral, my wife and Ariel and I, for Julie Sugars, Jack Sugar's wife. Yeah. And we had gone out to lunch afterwards with Mike Wissing, who was the FCA guy at Fair State.
Yes. Okay.
And I get a phone call, and I look, and I hadn't told them at that point, I don't think, that my PSA numbers were a little bit out of whack.
Right.
And I seen the number pop up. And I said, you know, excuse me, I got to grab this. So I go outside, and then here it's the doctor. And he says, yeah, you have prostate cancer. But we caught it early. It's just starting. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now I got to go back in, you know, finish lunch, and then we leave there. You know, Pastor Mike, he heads back to Big Rapids, and I told those two, you know, hey, guess what? I got prostate cancer. I'm the only guy. I'm the only boy. I have 3 brothers in their 80s. None of them have prostate cancer. You know, one of them's being watched, but at that point would have been 60. Jeez. Yeah, I was 61.
5 years ago.
5 years ago. I think it was like 5 years yesterday.
Well, we're going to unreel that, but I don't want to end with that, because I want to know. Okay. Take us through that. No, take us through that journey a little bit before we go to break. We want to take our first break here coming up. Yeah. But I want you to take us right now, as we're on reel, that initial thought, that initial action, that as you were processing on that drive home. Yeah. And sitting, and I guess here's the question. When you were by yourself at that moment, what was going through your mind? How did you handle that? I
went home and I went to work. Okay. I went to harvest onions.
That's what guys do.
That's what guys do.
Just go to work.
That's what farmers do.
Right.
Yeah. I went out. Yes, helped onions. But here's the kicker. Here's where I got blessed. In my Tuesday night men's group, there was a urologist oncologist in our group by the name of Brian Lane. Okay. And Brian Lane passed 51. Passed away about 2 weeks ago. Not this past Monday. The Monday before was his funeral. The smartest man I've ever met in my life. Mm-hmm. Brilliant mind. Brilliant. And God called him home at 51.
But he was there 5 years ago for you.
He was there 5 years ago for me. So when I found out that I had prostate cancer, hey, we got to talk. And then boom. So for 5 years, he's just kind of, and I've had the easiest cancer journey anybody could ever have. And I'd say it this way. So I find out I have cancer. Brian says, come in the office. We're gonna do a biopsy. Come in the office, and then we're gonna walk through this. So I go, I had the biopsy done. I go in the office. He comes in, sits down, and he says, we caught this so early. You have all these different options available to you.
So you had more options. That's right.
Way more options. So you can do this, 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 and this. And I said, what would you do? And he goes, I would have radiation seeds planted in me. And so that's what I did. And I was like, I am in the start of harvest. We're going, you know. So I'm running our carrot harvester during in the morning, early afternoon, then maybe jumping off and helping on onions. You know, kind of that. You know, you're going from one thing to the next, kind of. And I said, I've just started harvesting. I can't be laid up. And he just looked at me and he says, we've caught this so early. He says, you go finish harvesting. Call me 2 weeks before you're done, and we're going to slide you right in. And that's what he did.
You talk about intentionality, and you open up about your perspective of intentionality, but how about God's perspective? It's much greater than all of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
And go ahead.
And that's one thing I stress to guys all the time. When you get 40 and over, you have to get PSA tests done, because that's what they caught. That's how they caught it. My PSA jumped 1.2 in a year, and I still wasn't even over 4, but because it jumped 1.2, that's what they're like, that's not supposed to do that. Right. And that's how they caught it. And had I not been getting the early physicals since 40, I still would maybe have it today and not even know it.
Not even know it. Yeah. It's too late. And I think that's where, when we come back after this break, we got to talk about, that vulnerability or that honesty or that male ego that can be the demise of us, correct?
And that's just what it would be. Because he told me, Brian said, you don't have to do anything for 10 years. In 10 years, you're going to be in a whole lot of trouble.
Wow.
So I was like, I'm not the sharpest tack in the box, but I know that, And so far, I'm cancer-free.
And you're cancer-free, amen.
Yeah, my numbers are ticking up a little bit, but I still have a prostate.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I still have my prostate. So Brian's even said, and one of the things he mentioned me before, he passed on was, just, because I texted him a while back. I said, hey, just got in July.
Yeah.
Hey, my number's coming up a little bit. He says, don't worry until it gets to this number. And then go in and then just checked again. And he said, but don't worry about it. I said, okay.
God bless him. And thoughts and prayers to Brian. We get a little tribute. Great tribute this week from you this week at Cal's Corner Ministry about Brian's impact on the world too. So when we get back after this break, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, you're in the hot seat, but you get to sit back. And
it's already started.
Yeah, my name is Phil Quinlan from Sherpa Leadership. We have a special program here today as Cal is in the hot seat today, and our production team with RAL behind the scenes. Want to wish her and thank her for doing all this extra work. We'll be right back after this message to talk deeper into Cal Corner's ministry. Hi, welcome back in Cal's Corner, segment number 2. My name is Phil Quinlan from Sherpa Leadership Group. I have the pleasure of being in Cal VanSingel's seat. This is the big shoes to fill, brother.
This is odd.
How are you feeling so far in segment 2 here in our?
Well, you kind of got the tears out of me already in segment 1. The people that know me well know that I'm emotional.
Well,
so it's like,
Poor Ariel behind the scenes. She's going to see 2 emotional guys behind the scenes. This is going to be quite an episode, but it is such an honor and a privilege, and I said to Cal earlier, a duty to really reveal the layers of Cal VanSingel in the special podcast episode of Cal's Corner Ministries. So Cal, I'd like to open up our second segment here. We were reminiscing in between takes here a little bit about, we call it the pull up the chair moments. And I know I'll let you tell the story, but there's so many moments your daughter Ariel has mentioned about you pull up chairs everywhere we go. Dad's always pulling up a chair. That's our metaphor for just, hi, I'm Cal, what's your story? And you're beautiful at that. You and I met that way.
Yes, we did.
And I want to go and open up our little relationship. Now, it's not about me, but I think it really signifies how you're intentional with being the light of the world. Matthew 5:16 and all the work that you do. We see your bright light. I saw it when you pulled that chair up in a sweaty gym.
Sweaty. It was hot.
It was hot.
Yeah, it was hot.
Go ahead. Tell us more about pull up the chair moments, wherever you want to go with that, my friend.
Yeah, probably 20-some years ago now. I had an AYBT girls basketball team out of Grant. And
Wasn't she one of the players? I think Ariel was.
Yeah, her, and then my oldest daughter too, Ashton. Yeah. So, we were in, there was an AYBT tournament in Ludington, and I had been watching you. We had played against you before. I had been watching you. Really admired you as a coach and as a person, because I could tell by the way that you were coaching that you cared deeply for your players. And I'm like sitting here going, I need to meet that guy. I want to be more like that. Yeah. No, that's why. I could have slid my chair up to how many other people in that gym, right?
Yeah.
But no, I chose you because I was watching you. I watch people a lot.
So the power of observation, you see, and there's something about you want to resonate.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it was intentional. So I got that. You were, neither one of us were coaching.
We were.
I think you were maybe helping.
I was the varsity basketball coach at that time, so I hosted and you were moments away from becoming the varsity girls basketball coach at Grant.
Yep.
I just started my I remember that. Just started my second year, I think, as a varsity girls basketball coach at the time.
Yep. I think you were helping to work that tournament too.
Well, what they did it was a fundraiser.
Oh,
so
is that
it was a
what
fundraiser for the girls basketball program.
Okay.
So to host it, you got to be there.
Yeah,
right?
I gotcha.
And so after I was also a coach of my daughter's team as well. Too. But it was a moment that you bring up often, and it reminds me, and I've been inspired by your pull up a chair moments.
Yeah.
And that's all about your intentionality. Talk about, if you would.
Yeah.
I want to go in this segment, talk about your family, and I want to talk about community service and really peel back some layers about you and your leadership mentality, about how you serve your community, how you serve your family through coaching and different various aspects. So go where you want with that, Cal. Let's talk about, your daughter was talking about pull-up chair moments that, when your family's together. Go where you want with that.
First of all, I can't do this without the three of them.
Talk about them.
Yeah,
who are they?
Lisa and Ashton and Ariel.
Tell us about them.
Oh, awesome. All three of them. Crazy. My wife's awesome, but crazy at the same time. My wife's an Italian. Beautiful. Stunningly drop dead, gorgeous, beautiful. As many of my friends say, I've outpunted my coverage with her. But she's Italian, so she talks with her hands, and they're emotional people. You're riding that wave with them. Yeah. Italians are fiery. I mean, I've been
all the women are. We know that, right?
Italians are like, wow. My dad never warned me about them. But yeah, so one thing with my wife, she's 9.5 years younger. I was 27. She was 18 when I met her. So yes, I asked her out, I think probably 10 times before she said yes, which I don't think it was stalking back then, but maybe it was. I don't know. I just went to where she was working. And she was working at a bar restaurant, so I just spent some time there with her. So finally, after the 10th time, she said yes, and our first date, I think it was October 29 in 1986.
Wow.
So close to 39 years ago. So, but she's she has been so good. I grew up very fortunate, very blessed. I came from a family of hard work, and you're going to be, if you work hard, you're going to be successful. Yep. Kind of born into a Christian family. And she wasn't. She was, as much as I was blessed over here, she wasn't over here.
Beautiful. So God brought you together.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, it was two people from totally different walks of life that just, they say opposites attract, and I guess in this case that it did. Back then I had hair.
Okay.
This was probably more up here with the bigger arms, stuff like that.
Italian, Dutch. Yeah. Okay, got the whole.
But one thing she has been, I think part of the reason that she's been so supportive, and I know it's one of the things you have here in your notes, is I think she sees everything that I did as good, for lack of better words. So broadcasting was my first pure love and joy. Sorry, I hit my mic. Broadcasting's, I loved it. I did it for 30 years. This is my first fall I haven't broadcast high school football.
I can't wait to peel back that layer in the third segment.
So she's seen how much joy it gives me. My wife's an incredible artist. How much I see how much joy my wife gets out of doing artwork. I get that same amount of joy out of broadcasting.
Beautiful.
So, so whether it was fire department, I think a lot of the other things I've been involved in are what you would say there were good things for the community, or So I think she got on board with that because, she worked in a bar restaurant, more a bar. Yeah. And I think she's seen, I don't want a husband that does that goes and spends half their paycheck at a bar.
There's something good about Cal VanSingel.
Yeah, so, that he's giving back, and, so I think that's what was easy for her to, I'm gone a lot, but she sees what I'm doing. I left this morning, I come up here, I'll be back mid to late afternoon. So she's home, cleaning the house or doing artwork and stuff. So, but she buys into it. One thing I got to say, I've had I had a really big surgery on November 1.
Let's get into that.
And
that's where family support comes, brother.
And then had another surgery April 15. Ariel moved back home last summer, which was a blessing because I had my lower back completely pretty much rebuilt. Rod screws, spinal fusion, new discs. I mean, it was brutal.
Wow.
But she was there. I mean, and Ariel helped too. I mean, Ariel was there too also, so like my wife could go get her hair done and do stuff like that. Didn't have to leave me alone. But she has been there just every step of the way. And then I turn around and I go to get my left knee replaced because that was shot from farming, you know, in April 15. And she's been there. She hasn't missed a step. I don't have to worry. I mean, she's a rock. She is my rock. And she's crazy at times, but I'm sure I'm crazy to her at times too.
That's a compliment.
But she's just been that. She's been there.
I think all men need to hear that, and all men need to proclaim that about their wives.
Yeah.
And that's what we're missing in this world today, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's beautiful to have you share that about support of your wife.
Yeah.
Talk about your children, your grandchildren.
Oh, man.
To let people know a little bit about like your role when those grandkids in your lap, or you know, Ariel on the other side of this camera, and Ashton as well too, and your in-laws or whatever.
No, we don't have to talk about my in-laws.
Oh,
no.
Brandon, we love you, man.
Brandon.
Oh, not Brandon.
I thought you meant my wife's mom and dad. No,
sorry,
Brandon.
Right.
Yeah, I got you. Let's start with Ashton. You know, she was our first daughter. Much like my father, driven, focused.
Okay.
Yep. So, you know, and I had said to her at one point when we were my brothers and I were starting to think about selling our farm. Do you want to buy this? Do you want a farm? If you do, I'll make it work out. And she's like, there's no way I'm going to farm. And she's wanted to be a teacher, what she does now since like third grade. She had a teacher by the name of Mrs. Nelson.
That's cool. I remember that name, Mrs. Nelson.
Yeah, and that Mrs. Nelson inspired her to be a teacher.
And today she's a teacher in Montague Public School.
Shelby now.
Shelby.
She's at Shelby now.
She's at Shelby?
She's at Shelby now. Yeah, kindergarten teacher. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, a little change here in the last month. But yeah, she's at Shelby now.
Oh my goodness. That's my old stomping ground.
Yeah. Driven and focused.
Beautiful.
Driven and focused. You know, she's gonna be a great mom. She had a great mom. My wife was a tremendous mother to them two girls. So she had a great mom, so she wanted to be a great mom. But she reminds me of my dad.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit more quieter.
But thinker,
focused, driven. Yeah. And hers, she's driven to be a good teacher. I mean, that's like, I am going to be a good teacher and not be arrogant about it, but to be the very best teacher that she can be.
You know, this is probably my most favorite segment of this interview, is because I want you to speak truth into your children today.
Yeah.
What's your hope for Ashton?
Just be happy. Love Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love Jesus. Be happy. Right? Because life's short. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. You know, I've learned that. I'm 66 and I lost a brother who was killed suddenly, you know, boom, years ago. So you're not guaranteed tomorrow. I'm not guaranteed to get home today.
Yeah.
Carpe diem, seize the day.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, and she's good. You know, she's had numerous surgeries like I've had. She tore her knee up 3 different times. So she had a kidney surgery that was pretty big when she was 7.
Oh, my goodness.
Bounced right back from that. But she's just,
your children
she's driven.
She knows nothing but resolve, eh?
Yeah.
Talk about that young crazy one, Ariel, who happens to be in the room. We can pick on her.
That's somewhat a chip off the old block there as far as personality.
Yeah.
She's much more like I am. You know, Ashton's quieter.
Yeah.
You know,
great qualities. Great qualities.
Watches things.
Yeah.
You know, if you get to know her one-on-one, she's amazing.
Yeah.
But she's just a little bit quieter.
Yeah.
You know.
I love quiet.
Yeah. Ariel is much more like me. More, I don't want to say energetic. More outgoing. We're going to go with that. She's more outgoing than what Ashton is.
Aren't you glad they're different?
Oh, my gosh,
such a great quality. It's awesome.
And she has a lot of my traits. You know, she's got a few of her mother's traits, which is why her and her mother don't always get along. But she has a lot of my traits, too, as far as grab a chair and slide that up. And she kind of got that from me, where she's, you know.
She's got quite a journey herself.
Yeah, she does.
As far as her leadership qualities as well, and Ashton, both of your kids do too. But you want to speak to any of that? Or?
Well, they're both, you know.
We're giving some Ariel.
There we go.
We're giving Ariel some airtime right now.
There we go.
So.
I think, did you tell them? No. Did you tell them?
No.
One of the things I always told them when they were younger, like when they got into middle school, I barked at them, be a leader.
Be a leader.
Be a leader.
That's awesome.
And to the point to where I know they were like mocking me behind the scenes.
Oh.
But I mean, it was like, be a leader. I'm not going to have a child that's not a leader.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At least they're going to know to be a leader, because that's going to help them later on in life when things get, tight now, I see say, when rocky, when things get rocky, you're going to have somewhat there. If you learn to be a leader, you're going to have leadership skills to get out of the rocks, for lack of better words.
You're revealing a lot of the questions about leadership qualities too, because I think we also see in some of the worst of times, we can see the best of character come through. And I think I've seen that with your daughter. Now, I personally work a little closer with your daughter lately, and I know for now, and you talk about leadership, I'll tell you here on our podcast, our business Sherpa leadership group wouldn't be where it's at without her. So there you go, Dad. So
well, thank you
to Mom. So,
but but it takes a team.
Yeah, it takes a team.
Good. Even in farming, I was intentional on, especially our Spanish guys.
Yeah.
I was intentional on, you want to freak a Spanish guy out, tell him you love him. Oh. Or give him a hug. It just freaks them out because it's totally, and Spanish culture is family.
Yeah, it's family. It's family.
But you want to freak Spanish guys out.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, last question. I want to talk about your grandkids real quickly a little bit too. And also, but before we do that, what is your hope for Ariel? I asked you about Ashton. What is your hope for her career? This is important. This is who you are.
Hopefully at some point meets a guy, gets a husband and has children, but God's in control of that. Yeah. So God knows what he wants. I'd rather have her be single the rest of her life than to be in a bad marriage.
Yeah.
Because that's those, I've seen those. Those are no good.
I love this. Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
No, that's just what I want. And I know that's what she wants. She would like to be married and, and have children like Ashton does. She's married and has children. And I know she wants that also. But, bad marriages and turmoil. And, I've seen that in fire department, and I've helped a lot of guys walk through bad marriages. And that's no fun.
And that is no fun at all. No. And this is a great conversation, too, for your men's ministry here. Yeah. And the conversations that men need to talk more about. Mm-hmm. I want to commend you in this little interview here about, digging deep into your family, the foundation of who you are, right? Yep. And the qualities of what you desire for. Because you and I, we're girl dads.
We are. Right? And I'm a girl grandpa now, too.
Girl grandpa now, man. So a little bit conversation. I want to talk about your grandkids a little bit. I want to
Addison's,
talk about what they changed your life.
Yeah, Addison's a freshman at Grand Valley. Was a really good high school athlete. Yep. But also a 4.0 student.
Wow.
Very driven.
Yeah.
Driven to be, kind of do the best best of what she can be. So just proud of her. She's nice. She's polite. She's friendly with everybody, not just the most popular kids, the young kids, Yep. So I'm just proud of her and proud of her work ethic too, athletically, academically, both. Great girl. She'll do well in life. That she will do well in life. And then, she's 18. Adeline is 9, I believe. Arabelle. Why did I say? I always do this too. I get it from my parents. Arabelle is 9, much like her mother. Lot like her mother.
Cool.
Likes things a certain way, which is Ashton. Color coordinated.
All right.
Books are, they're.
Got it.
What's the word I'm looking for? I mean, everything
organized, color-coded, right?
Yes.
Just sequential.
Yes. Yeah. So that's Arabelle.
That's a great
quality. And she's her mother. Yeah. And then Adeline is a mixture of her mom, but a lot of her dad, Brandon, who is just goes 100 miles an hour.
Hey, shout out to you, Brandon.
Yeah.
All right.
That's good. Brandon's, seems to be a great husband. He's an incredible father.
Yeah.
He's an incredible father. So proud of him for being such a good dad. And Adeline's a little bit more like that, a little bit rougher. I mean, you got to watch her because she'll pile drive you when you're not looking and she's 7.
And you're just 60. That's so hard to take on a 7-year-old.
Yeah. Yep. I said to Ashton a while back, this was a few years ago, and not because the accolades that I've won, on a personal aspect. But we were at Addison's soccer game, and we were they were warming up, and for some reason, I think my wife went to the restroom, so I just continued on. I had the chair, so I just kept walking, and I was like 30 yards away from Ashton, and the two little granddaughters, Arabelle and Adeline, seen me. And they just come running like this. I imagine like when you see Jesus.
Wow.
They come running, Grandpa, Grandpa, Grandpa.
Wow.
And I got down on both knees, and I
got down on knees?
Yeah, on both knees, man. And I just scooped them up and just hugged them.
What? There's no greater joy.
There's no greater joy than that. I don't care how much money you make in this world. Nothing tops that. Nothing tops that.
No.
Yeah. So.
To all men.
Yeah. Family. It's yeah. I try to. I see her every day now. She moved back with us out of a mouse-infested apartment in Grand Rapids, which is a blessing to have her back.
Yeah,
but and I still try to see Ashton. When Addison was playing sports, I'd see her twice a week.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit different now with her at Grand Valley, but still hopefully try to see her once a week and see our little granddaughters once a week.
Hey, I want to give a little shout out to your granddaughter Addison, which I've never met. I think I met her, but I know Ariel, and I won't say who, but we were with a third-party project her and I were working on. And Addison, I hope you're listening, because this gentleman who knows her from Montague made a statement about, and I won't get into the great detail, watching her when no one else was watching her, how she talked to people. And it was such an uplifting. Ariel, you saw it behind the scenes. So I had about qualities of leadership, and to have a third-party person say that about her is quite reflective of what it takes to be around great people, around great family. Cal VanSingel, as we wrap up the second segment here, you've talked about family. This is the foundation of who you are and the importance of that. And you also have introduced us a little bit to the community and leadership qualities. We've had an opportunity to hear. Do you want to speak a little bit about the last question I had before the segment about just like as a volunteer fireman, and being in a community, out there in the community, and all your aspects? I know it's a broad question, my friend, but what are some of those lessons? And, you've seen some of the worst, as a volunteer fireman. You want to speak to that a little bit here as we wrap up our second segment, or what lessons that we can take to maybe we can glean from here today? Get a couple minutes
back to one thing about being a fireman, it can be over in a heartbeat. You go to a wreck, and I've been to some pretty brutal ones. I lost 3 teenagers in one wreck one night. 2 of them I had coached. So that was those are ones you don't.
Wow.
And then seeing the ones that they get hit, high speed, they call them high speed.
Okay.
Collisions.
Yeah.
And what the human body goes through, but yet then again, what the human body can take. And,
wow.
I mean, it's just so just be,
I know it's a heavy question, brother. But it's there's something you've taken out, carpe diem moments, that life can be short and taken from you in a moment.
Yeah. Yep. And I learned that like with when my brother Russ got killed. I was 40, he was 48. He was our fire chief. Community leader, driven, focused, and I wasn't like really close to him. I farmed with him.
Yeah.
So, when you work hand in hand with your brother every day, it makes it difficult to go have, go fishing with afterwards or something. But he was a great community leader, and he was gone in a heartbeat. Bam. In a wreck and brainstem injury and gone.
Wow.
So, and that was another turning moment in my faith, because VanSingel men have always lived a long life. I have 3 brothers in their 80s now.
Yeah, you
and all 3 doing pretty well.
Yeah.
All 3 active yet. So,
they're active.
So when I seen that was a pivoting moment in my faith journey life. That okay, I may not live to be 80, so I got to get more refocused on my faith now.
Beautiful, and that you are, my friend.
Yeah, well, I'm a work in progress.
No, we're all work in progress. But
I want to add this real quick before we go out. So I have a friend who's 2 buddies. I have a lot of buddies who are high school football coaches. But I have 2 that are really successful. One on the east side and one on the west side.
Yes, you do. We're going to talk about them in our third segment. Okay. Go ahead. I want to give us a little teaser.
So, I don't know. I've been with him, I think, the one on the west side. The one on the east side I've known 20 years. The one on the west side I'm so close to. Probably about 8 years, I think. 7 or 8 years. And he said to me like 5 years ago about faith. And he goes, we were having lunch or breakfast or something. And he looks at me and he says, don't you struggle with anything?
Yeah.
And I pointed at him.
I love this.
I said, don't you ever put me on that pedestal.
Yep.
Ever.
Yep.
Because I'm no different than you.
Yep.
And he goes, well, what do you struggle with? He says, I never, he says, you don't swear, like he's called it, you're polished, you put together, you carry yourself.
Our perception of the outside.
Right, yeah. So then I told him what I struggle with, and he's like, no way.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah.
Yeah.
And that changed our relationship, because all of a sudden now he's seen me as just a regular guy who has the same struggles like all men do. And, you know, like I said, I love Jesus, but here's my struggle, you know. It's different for everybody.
That's a powerful statement, my friend, because I think people have this misconception of, you know, to become a Christian means we're taking on the armor.
Yeah.
And we need his grace and his redemption. We need so much more from him. And I think that's the vulnerability part of men is a superpower, is our strength.
Bingo, it is. One of the reasons I have been so blessed to have so many guys in my life, and a lot of guys, influential guys, I mean, like rock star dudes, is because just bold, honest conversations, and don't hide anything.
No, they don't.
You know, and I don't neither. You know.
In this final segment, we're going to peel back the history of your ministry. Okay, so stay tuned to this one. Right. We're going to talk about these bold men that you've met and you brought to I've had an honor and pleasure. We're going to peel back the ministry and those men here in the second segment. Our third and final segment. Okay. Do we have to finish now, brother? Can we go into bonus sections?
If you want to.
There's so much we can reveal. So, once again, I'm Phil Quinlan from Sherpa Leadership Group. I'm in the uncomfortable chair of Cal VanSingel, who is in the hot seat.
Uncomfortable.
He's uncomfortable. Today's podcast of Cal's Corner Ministry is really peeling back the layers of our good friend Cal VanSingel. And this has been a joy. Wait until you see our third and final segment. So stay tuned right after this message.
Hey, if you're a guy, especially 18 or older, we would love to have you at one of our ministries. So White Lake Men's Ministries, I do this with Pastor Craig Smith out of Whitehall. We are the first Saturday morning of every month in Whitehall at Hanson Hill Waterfront Grill. It's behind Bell's Furniture. 7 to 8, we're going to do our best to get you out of there at 8 a.m. so you can have the rest of your day to go do the things that you got to get done. The second Saturday of every month, we have Grant Men's Ministries. Grant will be 18 years old this May, and which is amazing. That's going to be 18 years. And we meet the second Saturday of every month, 7 to 8 a.m. Once again, we're going to get you out of there early so you can go on with your day. And we're just a group of guys that get together. You know, come as you are. Do not get dressed up. Please don't. Blue jeans, sweatshirt, a hat. Come as you are. That's how we are. We're just a bunch of guys that get together. We always have a speaker come in. They share their testimony or a story, how God has worked in their life, so their walk with Jesus is easier. Love to have you. Please join us some Saturday. First Saturday, White Lake. Second Saturday, Grant. And would love to have you there.
Hi, welcome back to Cal's Corner Ministries. I'm Phil Quinlan. I'm just stepping in briefly for the host over here. Cal, this has been a great year. Third and final segment of Cal's Corner Ministry with you being on the hot seat. I just once again want to thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And Ariel, who's our engineer behind the scenes, doing all this work here. So thank you once again. And it's an honor and a privilege. And as I said earlier, it's a duty to really let people know who you are, my friend. So you mentioned our last segment about the struggles, and I love it. I hope men are listening here and being very vulnerable and intentional with your time. I hope we can walk away knowing this episode is about that and how the superpower, right, of men is to be vulnerable, because that's where love and connection and trust really develop, and how that can transcend over into your family and all those. I'm trying to sum up what I've heard here so far, my friend. But I want you to open up this segment with, you know, in our struggles, in our time of valleys, how do you speak to God? Talk about your faith journey, and what are some intentional components of your faith and prayer? And what does that look like that maybe we could take a few gold nuggets? Because you have taught me, my friend, I've taken a couple of your ideas and instilled them into my own personal journey as well. So, you
know, mine's probably different than some people, but I think there's probably a lot of people like me that have the same thought process when it comes to prayer. I'm not a guy who goes home and kneels beside my bed for an hour. I have Mick, who you know.
Let's give a shout out to him, our good friend Mick Sutton, right? Let's give a shout out to him.
I mean, prayer warrior.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, I've seen his notebook.
Over 10,000 prayers.
Yeah, every week, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, just different people he prays for. I'm not that guy.
Got it.
I'm not that guy. But, I'll pray for a meal or just, thank you, Jesus, for boom, boom, boom. One thing I do a lot of is I talk to Jesus when I'm driving. And I did it on the way here. I was listening to CSG. I started to lose it North and Nuevo, and I just turned it off and just had a conversation with them.
I got to pause you for a moment.
Yeah.
CSG is what?
Sorry, WCSG is a Christian radio based out of Grand Rapids.
That's another, I think, a great advice to any men today. And
Christian radio.
Nothing but radio, Christian radio.
Yeah.
It's changed the way that I think and I pray as well. And
Yeah.
This is about you, but I love that
you.
because that's a great reminder to all of us. What do I do today? I could start with the music I put in my brain. Right?
Yeah.
We could talk about. But anyway, go ahead. Talk about that prayer drive.
Yeah, so I just will talk, and I probably have a little bit of ADD in me, so I try to stay focused as long as I can.
God's up there with his binder trying to stay with you.
Yeah, trying to stay with me. I got buddies too that have the same thing. So I mean, you'll start somewhere and then you go down a rabbit hole, you pop back out, and then you get back on that journey or something. So I just do a lot of that. I did that a lot when I was farming. I ran a lot of equipment. I liked the farming part. I didn't like the business part.
Yeah.
My two brothers were better at that than I was, but I loved the farming part of it, and then having a crew of guys and going out and doing something, whether it's your planting, your irrigation, or harvest, and working with men. And I enjoyed that.
You had a lot of alone time in that moment. I know I was talking to my brother Sean, who spoke at one of your ministries, and he was saying he's done cycling a lot. Long bike rides were able to clear his mind, and he was able to really talk to God. And you had a lot of time in that. I didn't say John Deere. I didn't say International. I don't know what tractor. But talk about that, and go ahead. And also, you mentioned earlier off camera a little bit about how you pray. And that Monday, Tuesday, weekly focus, and share that with us.
Yeah, I picked up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I picked up a thing. I have friends that run a Christian ministry called UPI, Unlimited Potential Incorporated. Well, it was founded by a good friend of mine by the name of Tom Roy, who lives in Indiana, and we'll get him on the podcast here at some point, probably this winter. And I was at a Christian baseball retreat, and I got invited because of Grant Men's Ministries. And Mickey Weston, who now is the president of UPI, and he's the longtime chaplain for the Chicago White Sox, he talked about praying for 5 people every day.
Like groups of people?
So he would pray for 5 White Sox every day. And so 5 guys Monday, 5 different Tuesday, 5 different Wednesday, 5 different Thursday, 5 different Friday. And I think he prayed for the coaches on Saturday. But he was intentional. Intentional. I know you love that word.
Yes.
On praying for these people. So I adopted that. And I'd like to say I still do it every day. And I don't, because some days your mind just wanders or something. But I have that also, where I will pray for 5 different groups of people. Like Fridays are coaches.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yep. So with football, basketball, whatever. So
do you write them down, Cal, or are you just a general prayer for all?
Yeah, just a general prayer for all. And a lot of them will be by name.
Yeah.
So, and it goes back to, and I could start naming names. I don't want to leave anybody out, but a lot of the Muskegon County coaches who I've become friends with over the years.
Sure.
My buddy in Detroit, pray for him a lot.
Yeah.
He's at a very powerful high school over there. They do nothing but win.
Yeah,
like there's a school in Muskegon that doesn't virtually pretty much nothing but win.
Back on some of these.
Well,
I know. I'm just kidding.
Being polite, being respectful of them.
Yeah, that's absolutely good quality men too. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
knowing some of them, not all of them, but Muskegon County Sports Hall of Fame.
Yeah, whoever would have thought? A kid that's born speech impaired that couldn't talk.
Go.
I'm going to start calling you Roy Firestone because you pull it out of me, all 3 different segments here.
Yeah, I just want you to go where you want. And I want you to talk about that. What was your proudest moment? I know this is hard.
That?
Yeah, just talk about that moment and talk about what it meant to you, please.
Proudest moment for me, I can... I think John Russell and I was and then Rick Hickman. I got a shout out to Rick Hickman, who was our engineer for many years at LCS, who made John Russell and we had it going on there for a while.
You did.
But we had it going on there for a while between Rick and John and I. That was unbelievable times looking back at it. But yeah, I was born speech impaired, so I couldn't talk. R's, ST's, U, V, C, K's. If there was an R in that word, forget it. Wow. And then Ariel, I still struggled with speech impairment.
Wow.
You know, she has 5 plates and 28 screws in her mouth. You never would have known that. You know, so, and what letter did she struggle with? R. And her name is R-E-L, like R-E-N-L.
What'd you do that for, my friend?
That's
Come
time.
on.
How's that for?
No, I want to talk about that a little bit and talk about the resolve and resilience and how you overcame that. I mean, you should go where you want with it, my friend, because I want to talk about sports and broadcasting as well, too.
So it's just a good friend of mine, and I talked to him last night, who's, I'll always say, probably one of the, I've always said he's the best educator I've ever met, and that's Dan Beckman. And I've met incredible educators. But if you've ever met Dan Beckman and spent time with him, that guy is a rock star of educators.
Wow.
Rock star. Just 30 years, or 7 years in Grant, and I think 30 years.
You mentioned him.
Yeah, I love that guy. He's now the commissioner of the OK Conference.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, he's just an incredible man. So he's coaching basketball in Grant, and he needed a public address announcer. So he comes to me and he says, I need a PA announcer, and I need one for Friday night. Like, are you available? And I'm like, I don't want. I'm not. No.
You're nervous. You're
nervous, the whole 9 yards. So
you got that limited belief. All right, I can't do this.
I can't do it because of my speech impairment.
Sure.
So, but for back, it's like you. If you ask, I'm sitting here because you asked me to do this.
Yeah.
So men I admire, like yourself, who was also another great educator.
Oh, stop it, brother.
No, you were a great educator, great coach. When they ask you to do things, be intentional, say yes. Okay, so I said, okay, I'll do this. So I did that, I think 5 or 6 or 7 years, somewhere in there. And then John Russell had his old radio partner. They were still doing a lot of games back then. And I, one time said, hey, I'd like to try this if you ever need anybody to fill in. So I'm not looking to take
analyst,
the color. Right? I'm not looking to take anybody's job. But long story short, if you ever need somebody, I'd like to try it. Well, unbeknownst to me, like a month later, he needed somebody. So he called me, got a hold of me. He said, would you like to do this? Yeah, I'd love to do it. And just fell in love with it. That led to a 30, John's partner unfortunately passed away shortly thereafter that, suddenly. And that opened up the driver's door for me to slide in and spend a 30-year career with John Russell. Brilliant play-by-play guy. He would literally grab a roster and do this. And he would look. Connecting, and he would find something, and it was a sleeve, it was a brace, it was haircut, he would connect the name of that number, the number with that name, and he would virtually almost set the roster down, and it was locked in. And if you ever watch me, I'm constantly holding the roster.
I'd be like this, brother.
Yeah, so I mean, once you do a team a couple of times, you kind of get the flow of who they are.
You talk about John a little bit.
Oh, gosh.
I have the pleasure of meeting John and having dinner with him once, and just the idea of you two had some great chemistry as well.
We did.
And Rick, too, back at the studio.
Yeah, Rick was awesome.
I could listen to you probably 90 miles away here at times.
Yeah.
Man. So talk about that.
John was kind of much like me, born later in life. His parents were later in life. Yeah. His dad was an iron worker. Kind of, much like me, father more driven, focused. My dad never told me he loved me. But that was that generation. I've come to learn that was that generation.
I'll talk about that. We don't want to. I could be a rabbit hole about men hanging on to old wounds, right?
Old wounds,
move on, but
gosh, we spent so many hours together. One thing when you're broadcasting, it's this is all it is. You're just talking about the game. And it's not hard to do. Obviously, I did it, so it's not hard to do. But we spent a lot of time together and just talked about our lives and the faith journey. And Frank Tanana led him to the Lord.
Frank Tanana. That night when you had Frank, or no?
No, at a different time. We were doing, through Grant Ministries, we would, for 5 years, we did this thing called Grant Ministries, Prevention of Homelessness for Noyo County. We put up, and I had buddies, 5 or 6 of my close buddies through Grant Ministries. Homeless Prevention Dinner, that's what we called it. So long story short, I met Frank, and John and I were broadcasting in Lansing. We went to Brighton. We met Frank at Brighton, I think at a Big Boy. And,
are you kidding?
Yeah, Gospel Truth. And Frank just said to John off the cuff, he says, John, if you pass away, do you know where you're going? He goes, well, I think so. And that's, You don't say I think so to Frank Tanana. No, he's a dog with a bone now.
Yeah,
Next thing you know, he's taking the placemat. He's got the placemat down. He's drawing a baseball diamond and first, second, third, fourth, and home is Christ. And I just sat there just like amazed.
It's a God thing.
It's a God. It's all a God thing.
And I tell you what, you put Frank Tanana in my life, that 10th anniversary. And, it's the real deal, because you only connect with the real deal. I mean, this is the gentleman that I was texting back and forth between him and just what it meant to me to meet him, and he's just such a personal people. You've had some great people at Men's Ministry.
Man.
I mean, there's a lot we can unpack about the broadcast, but I want to congratulate you, and I'm a little upset you never invited me to the ceremony. I had no idea that. I find out later. That's all right. I'm going on the record, but no, about your broadcast Hall of Fame. I was so proud of you when I heard about that, and I'm sorry I wasn't there to just be in the audience applauding.
You know,
but that's all good. I
made the mistake of not inviting more people. I did.
Because you're so humble, you don't think about it, and that's it. So give yourself a break, brother. Give yourself a break.
I made the mistake of not doing that.
No,
because I didn't want it to.
I know, that's who you are. Don't.
But
this says a lot about you. Go ahead. Where do you want to go with that? I want to go to your. I want to wrap up this segment about your ministry.
Okay. I want to highlight. I want to hit broadcast a little bit, because you had some of these questions, and I want to quick hit those. The coolest places I've ever broadcast.
Yeah, we got
Ford Field, Breslin Center, University of Michigan for football. Those were all cool. Some of the universities also did, twice at the Superior Dome in Marquette.
Wow, you traveled.
Oh, we would travel, man. We would travel all over the place. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Thank you, Ariel. So, two people I got to talk about.
Yep.
The biggest one, probably the biggest name for us, was Jason Hanson, because we got Jason Hanson to come when we were still playing.
Came to Grant.
Actually came to the Oak Ridge. We had moved. We outgrew the depot. We were at the Oak Ridge, and I remember that night we had been at 88 guys twice. That was been our limit. Frank Tanana was one of them.
Yeah,
and he's getting up on Saturday morning to go, and my wife said, and I'm a numbers guy, right? I track things. I want to know what's going on.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and my wife said to me either Friday night, or I thought she said Saturday morning, she goes, how many guys do you think will show up today? And I said, well, I'm pretty sure we'll go over 100 today, because it was pretty well publicized. We had 240 guys came. We could only fit 210 into the room.
Are you kidding?
We had 30 guys leave. So we went from 88 to 210.
Wow.
And that was cool. That was like, holy cow, Jason Hanson.
Yeah.
And I was a kicker in high school, so automatically you like kickers, Yeah.
Were you? I did not know that.
Yep. But without a doubt, the most inspirational for me.
What was it about? Why?
Oh, Clay Dyer.
Oh.
Clay Dyer's born with no arms, no legs at all, born that way, no left arm, and he has this much of a right arm right here. And he does everything we do. Everything that we do, he does. And without a doubt, nobody comes close to Clay Dyer.
You allowed me in the green room at that time. I remember that very well. And you had Frank Tanana, Clay, and
your brother, Sean.
He was carrying the uniforms of all those guys. But you had an all-star lineup.
That was an all-star lineup.
You had some, but talk about Clay a little bit. What is it about Clay that?
He drives a tricked-out Toyota pickup. He drives a tricked-out bass boat. He's a professional bass fisherman. He'll take a hook and put it in that stub.
I know.
And then he'll tie a knot. And it's like, and he loves Jesus like none other.
Yeah, he was inspiring, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Do you still keep in touch with the Clays and the Franks and the Jasons and the right?
Yeah, Jason and I fish probably once a year.
Do you really?
Yeah, at least once a year on the Muskegon River.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I got Jason to say yes, because I had gotten a hold of him. He didn't know me from Adam. So, but he knew I got his number from Frank. So Frank's like, here's a connection. And long story short, that's how I hooked Jason Hanson, because I said,
no pun intended.
No pun intended. I said, I live 5 minutes away from the Muskegon River. If you come on up, my guide buddy Nathan Holtz and I will take you fishing. Wow. And he goes, you live by the Muskegon River? Because Jason's an avid fisherman.
Yeah.
So we'll come up in the spring, we'll go steelhead fishing.
Wow.
He goes, I'm in.
And hey,
So,
just a quick rabbit hole for those who haven't checked out our series of Cal. Maybe we talk about it now, but up in the Arctic Circle, Cal's Corner Ministry pushed out about 5, 6. I don't know how many. That was amazing to hear your messaging on top of the world today. So fishing, and maybe we dive into that. But I don't know. We're in our last question, kind of around the ministry, and I really want you to go where you want with this. This is your opportunity, brother, to talk about either fishing or your ministry and fishing for men. Fishing for men. Yeah, that's why if you see all my logos, there'll be fishing poles on them or whatever it is. You know, I was really fortunate, and if I leave one, I don't think I am, but I've had 4 pastors. Who have, and my journey kind of helped me along the way. And I don't want not to use last names. Pastor Dave, and then James, Steve, and then my pastor now, Mike Connell. I'll use his last name because he's current. Sure. Those 4 guys have really kind of helped me through my walk. But a guy who got me started in men's ministries all started back in 2005. And it was Thanksgiving weekend of 2005, and the Oak Ridge Eagles were going to play for a state championship on Saturday. Okay. Well, on Wednesday night, John Russell and I did a 1-hour pregame show with Jack Sugars and 4 of his players. And Jack Sugars came in the studio larger than life. Sure. I'd never met a guy who was that larger in life. He commands a room. He commands a room, man. Holy cow. And he came in, and we spent an hour with him, and that, you want to, I guess you call it infectious personality? Yeah, he is, yeah. Oh, back then, he was in his 50s, so he was just like, and I'm listening to him and his players, and I'm, how they're back and forth, and I'm like, now I see why this guy wins, because you would run through a wall for this guy. Yeah. He has that personality. So we get done, and I just I need to spend time with this guy. I needed him like I needed Phil Quinlan, right? I needed him in my life. You fish for men. I fish for men. Yes, you do. So I got a hold of him at school. He was teaching then. I got a hold of him at school and found out when his, prep hour was called. They transferred it to the room. And he was like, hello. I said, Coach, this is Cal VanSingel. How you doing? I'm doing great. I says, Coach, I said, I really enjoyed visiting with you the other night. Is there a chance I could have breakfast or lunch with you? And he goes, no. And I was taken aback. He goes, I want to have breakfast with you, he said. And I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So, and then that there started, my journey towards Grant Men's Ministry. So back up a little bit. Jack's involved with these through a church. I think it was downtown. It was out by Mona Shores High School. Forest, I think. Reformed, yeah. There's a church there, and they were doing a men's breakfast in the morning. And I'd gone to it once or twice, but that day, that's a different day. Him and I are having lunch. And I'll never forget it, because Lloyd Carr called him that day. Oh. And he's just, I'll call him back later. I'm like, no. Michigan football coach. I'm like, no, take the phone call. He goes, no, I'm with you. I'm going to spend my time with you. I'll call Lloyd later. I'm like, take the call. No, I love it. So, he's like, no, I'm with you. And it was like just crazy. So we had been talking about this men's ministry. So I'm driving home. I'm on Apple Avenue by Trent Road. Yeah. And God, probably the most audible I've ever heard him, said, if Jack can do it, so can you. Why not you? If not you, then who? Yeah. Now, then when? And then all the thoughts and processes came in how to do this, how to do it. I mean, it was all laid right out right there. He opened all the doors, boom, like that. Just so on that drive from Jack, your vision. Yep, Apple and Trent. I think about it just about every time I go through that intersection. That's where it started. Yep, and 48 hours later, Grant Men's Ministries is up and running, and we just had our 18th year anniversary. What are you proud about the most of the ministry? Your numbers. You're a numbers guy. I don't know. It's continued on. Yeah. The men that have said yes. We've flown men and numerous men. Yes, you have. We've flown in. A lot of them have said, I've heard about you, which is cool. I mean, and not to be arrogant. No. But it's like, no, I've heard about you. I'm going to pay my own way. Wow. I'll take care of my flight. You don't have to pay me anything. And it's just like, man, because I know what you're doing, or I've heard of what you're doing, and I want to be part of it. And I'm like going, you are you're a gold medal Olympian, and you're willing to fly from Texas To Grand Rapids?
To Grand Rapids, to drive over to, at this point, White Lake, because it's when this guy was our first speaker at White Lake. And he goes, no, I'm taking care of this. I know you, and I know what you're doing, and I believe in you. And it's just like,
wow.
And here, then we go right back to here are my struggles,
Yeah.
So, yeah. I want to back up to one thing, and because to me personally, it was important when I found out I was going in the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
And how appropriate it was, because it was wintertime. And I was coming back. I took my wife to lunch at the depot, and we were coming back. And I turned off 120th. I'm heading north, and my phone rings. And it's Dan Beckman.
Dan Beckman.
Dan Beckman. Here we go again, right? And who gave me a start.
Yeah. Yeah.
Years earlier. And I had been to the Hall of Fame dinners. So in my back of my mind, I kind of knew where they were, but I never envisioned getting in it. I don't think John ever did either.
Wow.
And he says to me, he goes, and if you know back, it's like, hey, I mean, he's so high energy. And he goes, hey, buddy, how you doing? It's Beck, man, I'm awesome. How are you? Good. He says, hey, what are you doing like on June 6th?
So and I'm like, give me the date.
Yeah, he's giving me the date.
Yeah.
And I was like, and my first thought, I thought, June 6th. I don't know what you're doing, and I don't know what I'm doing on June 1st. And he's like, keep that date, because now he just goes like ballistic crazy. Okay. Keep that day open, because you're going in the Hall of Fame. You're going to the Muskegon Area Hall of Fame. You deserve that so much. And I pulled off the gravel road, which we call Hudsonville Avenue. And because that farm, there were farmers out from Hudsonville that used to would drive up, and they had fields on this little gravel road. So that's why we call it Hudsonville Avenue. And I did this.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah, I just put my head down.
What was going through your mind? Take us there. What was going through your mind at that moment?
How did a kid that couldn't talk, and I'm from Newaygo County. I'm not a Muskegon County guy.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not I didn't play sports in Muskegon County.
How could you impact another county to the west?
Yeah. And I had been to the Muskegon Hall of Fame and seen how big a deal it was.
It is a big deal. For those who don't know.
I was shocked when the first time I went. I was like, holy cow. So I did. I had my hands like this. I can remember my phone was on the console of my pickup. And I was like, just crying.
Wow.
How in the world can a kid who couldn't talk, not from Muskegon County, go on the Muskegon County Hall of Fame?
God had plans for you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He used that to shine a light much brighter on others.
And there's been numerous times now through the years I got recognized for my voice.
Wow. And
that's happened numerous times.
He should be recognized for his face as well. He always says he has a face for radio.
I do have a face for radio.
Oh, but wow, that's just proud moment.
Yep. So I want to, and that there again, why I'm loyal to Dan Beckman.
Yeah. I
am loyal to that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He elevated the fact that he took you to, and I don't know about you, and you're so humble about this. How have you used that? The Hall of Fame. How have you used these moments in our lives? We have these pinnacle mountaintop experiences, right? We have these moments in our lives that God says, I'm putting you here, and I want you to be in that moment and be proud and reflect, right? How do you use those moments? I mean, it's so humble, but yet it's okay to say, Sports Hall of Famer, but at the same time, when people see you, they know, like, God, this guy's so humble.
It's open doors.
It's open doors.
Yeah, it's open doors for me to speak in different places. I think I've spoken at, probably 6 different events that most people don't know I've spoken at. I spoke in December. I spoke at a ministry in just south of Grand Rapids, and there were a lot of guys there. And I spoke at up in Hart at the Heritage Base Camp. Yeah. I spoke there with Wes and his name is, oh my gosh.
So too much is given, much is expected.
Yeah, the guy we did the podcast with. Ram, no, not Ram.
Samuel.
Sam Stitt.
Yeah, Sam Stitt. Shout out to Sam. Yeah. Samuel, excuse me. But too much is given, much is expected, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And then it's expected that you do something with that.
It's funny because one night, years ago, Jack Sugars was coaching football at Grand Rapids Community College, and he was doing an FCA event there. And I was, here we go again, bringing food down, right?
Yeah.
Dropping food off to the players.
Surprising.
So many surprises. And my pastor, Mike, was with me that night. And we talked about, on the way back, I just want to be, we're talking about faith and want to be a good and faithful servant and having to, giving back. And he says, he's two things. You're not going to heaven for what you've forgiving, which I know that.
Yeah.
And then something else I've learned too in 66 years, you can't outgive Jesus.
You can't outgive Jesus.
You can't do it. You can't outgive him. He's gonna, if you're faithful, and if you're faithful with a faithful heart, he's going to give you more than you can ever imagine. And that's where I'm at now. Beautiful wife, 2 amazing daughters, 3 awesome grandkids, personal success off the charts.
Yep. The list goes on, but yet it doesn't even pale comparison to the infinite blessings that God puts on our lives.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the only thing so you can have all these, Great Lakes Farmer of the Year. You can have all these awards. You can have all these plaques at home.
Worldly matter. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Just well done, good and faithful servant. And that's what I live for. That's what I live for.
My friend, how do we end on this episode with that?
I just say yes. That's another one. When guys ask me, just say yes. Just say yes.
I love that.
I'm thinking. Somebody said, I'm thinking about doing that. God's kind of if God's giving you a thought, just do it. Say yes.
Step into it.
Yeah. And people will say, how do you find all these guys? And I do this. And they're like, no. And I went, yes. It's him. He sends them. I don't do anything. I ask.
And they're sent.
But
you don't doubt. You just step into.
Yeah. And that's all I can do is ask. And if they say yes, great. If they say no, okay.
That's great advice for men, families, people who are leaders. I think at the end of the day, you trust yourself, you trust your faith to trust the plan.
FTTP,
I always, I don't mean to, I want you to maybe respond to this, but this is Cody Bachman, I think his name is. Cody Bachman's a speaker, said that the gospel really speaks to 2 components, faith and repentance. From those 2 comes obedience. And you, my friend, have been obedient and faithful in that. And I think that's you're the same man who I know who sends me a text or sends me a video. He goes to the Upper Peninsula just to have lunch with a friend and come back. You're very intentional. And I'm going to have the last word here in a moment. So maybe no, I'm not. I'm just kidding. But for Cal VanSingel, there is, if not the most intentional person I know on the face of the earth is you.
Thank you.
And you've been a light to so many people, and you continue to be the light.
Thank you.
When you are intentional, there is no boundaries. Just say yes. So when you spend 8 hours in your truck, it's no different than I spend 8 hours in my tractor or my plow, so I can go see. So when the gentleman drives 500 miles to to Des Moines, Iowa, to deliver vegetables to a impoverished section of Des Moines, Iowa, and spends the night at my brother's and turn around and go home because he's got a broadcast, I think, in Detroit. Where do we find people like you, Cal? I just want to
we're all here. Just say yes.
This has been a blessing, this podcast episode. And
it's still warm. The seat's still warm, by the way. Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable in the seat. I know you don't. No, I think this has been great.
You should do your own podcast because you're amazing at it. Yeah.
This has been fun to have a conversation with a great friend.
Thank
great
you.
Light for the world. And the best is yet to come, my friend. The best. So take us home, the last word in Cal's Corner Ministry podcast today. What final thoughts do you have for the rest of us here today?
Thank you for Jack Sugars. Jack instilled in me leadership that I probably didn't think I had.
Yeah.
When you're the youngest of, 3 or 4 other brothers. My brother Don's always been really supportive, but I didn't farm with him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when you're the youngest of 3 other brothers, then,
Sure.
Rightfully so.
Jack played that role.
Jack played that role. So that inspired me. I didn't have doubts when I didn't say no. I said yes. And I think that a lot of it because of Jack. I said yes because of Jack. Because of that.
Stepping into that yes.
Yeah. I remember him saying, you have a lot more skills in leadership than what you think. you have.
That is true. It's
Yeah.
true.
So you need positive people. The little cards. You're awesome, amazing, and incredible. I gave 2 more out this morning. And then one lady says, I already have one. It's right here.
Oh!
So it's like, oh, that's great. I have issues with my hip, so I was at rehab this morning, trying to get my hip straightened out. So the receptionist, I tried to give her one. She's already got one. And then I had a new therapist this morning, so I gave her one.
So that's why you were walking in a little gingerly to the studio.
Yeah,
today.
it's been an issue.
Yeah, well.
Yep.
On behalf of Cal VanSingel, this has been Cal's Corner Ministry. My name is Phil Quinlan from Sherpa Leadership Group.
Oh, can I add one more thing?
Yeah, you can, but you won't let me wrap up here. But I want to have him give us one final word, brother. Take us home.
I started, Grant Men's Ministries a little over 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which one it was. I think it was you that came to me and said, you should do a podcast. I can't remember if it was you or if it was her.
Probably, we tag teamed it, probably, right?
And because I think you were started working with him then. And you said, you should do a podcast. And I'm like, I'm not a podcast guy. Right? So once again, saying yes.
Saying yes.
Yes. So I said, okay, we'll try this. And I see the numbers it's generating, and it's just unbelievable. The numbers that we just continue to climb, every month. And without you, Phil, and you, Ariel, and Sherpa Leadership Group, I can't do this. I'm a tractor combine care
You said that, yep.
That's me. I took a load of onions for the neighbor farmer Monday to Grand Rapids and dropped them off in a semi.
Get you back in the tractor.
Got me back in the truck. So that's what I can do.
Yeah.
But I can't do this without you. And the impact that you two are going to make through Cal's Corner Ministries, and through time, will probably far outweigh the ministry of Grant Men's Ministries or White Lake or the other 5 that we've birthed, or I didn't birth, but I've been a birth off of that. Because I see the numbers, I see the projection and how they're climbing. And I see what the future looks like for Cal's Corner Ministries. Absolutely. But it's you two. It's you two.
Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, but okay, so he uses you two with all this equipment, right?
That's all this is, a vehicle for our clients,
it's an avenue.
For you.
Yeah.
And, brother, I can speak for Ariel too, and even other Sherpa members. Our ministry is our business our ministry. Mm-hmm. Having those things align your life is very intentional in us, and it's very reflective of you here today, right? When we can align those items and do all glory to Him, we just, and like you always told me, get out of the way, right?
Get out of the way, yeah.
Get out of the way and say
get out
yes
of God's way, just say yes.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah. So go ahead, wrap it up.
No, I don't want to. We could go on for episode 3, 4, and 5. But on behalf of Cal's Corner Ministry and on behalf of Ariel VanSingel, our great engineer behind the scene, and actually she should be in this spot. Maybe the next time we bring him in, we bring Ariel into the seat to interview Dad in Cal's Corner on the next episode. I remember sitting in that chair once with you, and you said it goes fast. It goes fast.
It goes fast, yeah.
But this has been a joy for all of us. And on behalf of Cal, I'm Phil Quinlan from Sherpa Leadership Group, but more importantly, I'm also Cal's Corner Ministry as well. So until next time, thank you for joining us. Stay blessed.
Thank you. It sounds good to me. There's a lot going on here that they can't see behind the scenes, but there's 1, 2, 3 cameras that I see.
Actually, a fourth one, right? You don't even see that one right here.
4 cameras.
Wow.
And 2 big lights, 3 lights. Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
What'd you call this place?
The Den.
The Den.
The Den.
Yeah, so
down here in the Den.
Yeah, we're at a location. Let's see.
It's our Scottville location.
Scottville location, our Scottville headquarters. I love it.
Yep, so, down in the Den in Scottville.
Anyway, we're going to start our production here real soon. We're waiting for our engineer, Ariel VanSingel, behind the scenes. Awesome. We're good to go? All right. I'll let you give us a countdown. We'll start today. By the way, before we begin, Facebook followers live here, Cal's Corner Ministries. He's going to talk a little bit about that in our conversation today, when you can follow us, how you can know more about Cal, and you're going to hear about today's episode and why am I here? And he's over there. And we're used to having Cal.
You're the big chief, though.
No, you're the chief. We're elevating him. So we're going to wait for an engineer to get us started, and we're going to start the raw footage. Actually, you guys get to see it behind the scenes. So we're going to begin our production as soon as our engineer is ready. Oh, I'm supposed to do that too, though. I think I need to see that. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, boom. Great. Hi, welcome to Cal's Corner Ministry. This looks unique and different like any other. Hi, my name is Phil Quinlan from Sherpa Leadership Group, along with Cal VanSingel. We're going to cut right there because the dog just came in. So
that's awesome. I love it.
Get out. Come on, go.